Hello, hello. Hi, everybody.
Hey guys.
Here we are.
So first things first, we have to all sing happy birthday to Michelle, right?
I'm old.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
to you. That's probably not a good present, though, because, you know. Hi, Salty. Hi, Missy. Hi, BR. So I know that everybody's like on a huge, like, you know, Johnny Depp, Amber Heard high right now because of the fact that the closing arguments were today, and there's like 20 bazillion lives out there going on about Johnny Depp, and here we are. We're going to go back to some true crime and talk about Tara Grinstead. But I get it. Like, I get it. I get the obsession. I have it.
Got to let it run out of our systems now. You know, it's been a good month and a week, right, of our lives.
6 weeks, 7 technically, because there was the 1 week break. But yeah, 6 weeks of testimony, and today with closing arguments. And I thought it was kind of a bittersweet's not the right word. What am I looking for? But interesting that today is, you know, May 27th, 6 years to the day after she actually filed. But Missy's like, you know, I love you when I'm here. Hi, Angela. But I know that we'll probably have a verdict next week on the Johnny and Amber, and we'll do one final live to kind of go over that. And if it happens to come out at a time that I can go live and stream it, I'll do that too. It just depends on if it's, you know, in the middle of 20,000 things that have to do with children.
The kiddos.
So, but this case is a case that I've followed for quite a long time. Hi, Karen. And so if you guys aren't familiar with it, we're going to basically just kind of go over the entire timeline of events. And because it is an older case, sort of, she went missing in 2005, but we'll tell you all that stuff. And then, but the second trial having to do with her disappearance and ultimate death was actually just happened like last week. It ended. So I want to make sure that we get all the information out there from start to finish before I watch too many more trials and forget all the fun things that I saw. Not fun, that's the wrong word, but you know what I mean.
I think we should like tell everybody that like the reason, like this was a big deal. I remember when it happened, but it became into like a much huger deal with that podcast. Yeah,
right.
And the podcast really just knocked it out of the park, and that's where people might remember it from more.
It was 6 months into a guy named Payne. He runs Up and Vanished, and about 6 months into him doing the podcast is when they made the first arrest.
Right.
Brought a lot of attention to this. This is Georgia's largest case file that they've ever had. The most information and evidence they've ever had on a case. And
I love the host. Remind me of his name again. It's something super cool.
Payne.
Yeah, I have pictures of him so you guys can see. He's so cute.
Oh, they had the little series on TV with him too. So it was a good one where they were doing the
yeah, that girl, the
Crestone. Yeah, Colorado. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a good podcast. If you guys haven't listened to it, it's Up and Vanished. I believe it was his first season. And then there's new ones that he was actually covering with the trial of Ryan Duke. So there's 2 different trials. So, you know, it gets a little, one blames the other one blames the other. It's kind of how it goes in the situation. So, let's see. Okay. Well, so, and then these lovely ladies that are here with me, Christine and Michelle, if you guys don't know them, they have put together a ton of information.
Oh my gosh.
On what?
Sorry, my cat. Did you hear that? My cat just.
Was that your cat?
Yeah.
I thought it was like a neighbor kid or something somewhere.
No, he has like cat dementia. He's like old. He's like a teenager, and like sometimes he'll like forget I'm his friend and that he's cuddling me, and like I'll be like just in the middle petting him or doing nothing. Yeah, he'll try.
Who are you?
And
why are you touching me? Leave me alone.
He attacked my son one time while my son was just sleeping, and my son was like, I didn't do anything. So we have to be careful with him, but he's getting a little hypey right now. He's gonna have to get off the couch.
So these guys have done a lot of work and put a lot of effort and time into putting together a lovely presentation, timeline, and all that fun stuff. So I'm going to let them kind of start off with telling you guys about the lovely Tara Grinstead.
And I'm just following the direction of Michelle's beautiful voice here. So Michelle's beautiful face too.
Well, so we'll touch on Tara's early life here. Tara was a cheerleader. She's from Ocilla, Georgia. She was a cheerleader, active member of her church. She continued on to earn her master's in higher education. She started teaching in 1998. She taught at the local high school. She was known to love her children. She cared a lot about the kids. So she really, really loved her job. Also on the side, she would compete in beauty pageants herself. Her mother, her mother's friend named Melva, they would coordinate pageants and direct them together. As Tara got older and got out of the pageant world, a lot of her teenage students started reaching out to her that wanted to compete themselves, and she started coaching some of the younger girls. Tara had a complicated love life. Just kind of leave it at that. Tara was very friendly around town, very loved. That kind of brings a lot more to the mystery behind what happened to Tara. And I kind of don't want to touch on the trial because I feel like the trial will kind of confuse her story.
I agree.
I kind of feel like the Ryan Bo Duke thing. There was a lot of men involved in this situation, and I personally feel that her killer is still out there, outside of Bo and Ryan.
You do? Okay, that'll be interesting. Okay.
I do.
He's definitely out there. Let me just.
With that, I would have to say that it is the case it comes with a bit of controversy because there are like 3 basic camps of people. You know, the camp that believes that Ryan Duke did it and Bo Dukes helped, the camp that believes Bo Dukes did it and Ryan was the scapegoat, and then the camp that believes that neither one of them actually committed it, but were both involved in the cover-up. Or do you not even believe that you're a totally different camp of, I don't even believe they had anything to do with anything?
I believe they were all tied in at different times, if that makes sense. And they all played an active part because they, not only are they all friends, I'll be naming a few guys along the way, but they are also either they work for Perry Police Department or they work for Ocilla Police Department.
Okay.
So there's a lot of little twists and turns in the story. So if you want, we can kind of fast forward to Saturday night. I'm lying. Let's go to Friday.
Okay, let's start with Friday because we got a whole day Saturday. That's important.
A lot happened Saturday.
So now we're on. So this would be October 20th, October 22nd. Yes. Like my memory disturbs me. No, it's October 20th because it is the Saturday. October 20th, Saturday. Or you want to go to Friday, so we're going to October 19th, back in 2005. So we're going to take a little time machine and go back in time.
Oh, what was the date? I had the date messed up here. I'll have to fix that before we post this anywhere.
No, Chris,
I
you're
think-
good. You're good.
Oh, okay.
No, you're good. There we go. So there is a gentleman named Marcus who Tara, it was basically Tara's on and off boyfriend for the last 5 years. Here he goes. Tara had
No, you're right. October 22nd is the Saturday.
Yeah.
You were right. I said it right the first time, and your thing is right. October 24th is when she was reported missing.
Oh, okay.
So October 22nd is when she goes missing.
Yes.
October 22nd to 23rd. You got it right.
So basically, Marcus is, he was an ex-boyfriend of hers. They had just recently broke up. Actually, a couple days prior to her disappearance, they had an argument. Tara originally wanted to break it off with Marcus because of his job, and he was serving time in Afghanistan, and the long-distance relationship deal. I guess after some heavy thinking, she changed her mind and she wanted Marcus back. At that point, Marcus, he describes his relationship with Tara a little funny. He says that they are in a committed relationship, but he could never marry her because of his job. Marcus is an Ocala police officer. I think Marcus played a huge part in Tara's disappearance originally.
Okay.
So we get to Saturday. Early Saturday, Tara had pageant girls stay at her house the night prior. The next day, she went to the pageant in Fitzgerald. She helped the girls with their hair and their makeup and things like that. The pageant.
I think that's important though, because so the girls had interviews that morning as part of the pageant and stuff. And I don't know how many of you guys know about pageant-y things, but so they did all their interviews in front of the judges. And before they were going back for like the, showcasing the beauty part of it, they all went back to Tara's house where she was doing all their hair and makeup for them. So all these guys were in there, or all these gals were in their house or in her home Saturday during the day. So they saw the house and the condition it was in and so on and so forth before they all left, including Tara left to go to the pageants. So that kind of comes into play during the trial.
So basically she, around 3:00, the pageant starts. Around 6:00, she speaks to the pageant director for a little bit, has a little small talk. According to the pageant director, she was in good spirits. Nothing seemed wrong. She, around 6:45, 7:00, she was walking to her car with one of her pageant girls named Danielle. Now, according to Danielle, Tara was not okay. Tara was she was unfocused. She was very upset. She was crying on and off. Even a few neighbors said that prior to her going to the pageant that she was pulled over by one of her doctor friends because she was stopped at a light and they could see her just basically having a complete emotional breakdown. So there's kind of different stories on how Tara was that day. But according to Danielle, which was the last person to see her from the pageant, she said there was a lot on her mind and there was definitely something going on. She was getting a lot of phone calls that day.
Okay.
So from the pageant, she tells Danielle that she's going to see one of her former students. And here she ends up meeting with her landlord's son. I believe his name was Rhett Roberts.
I don't remember, but yeah, it was the landlord's son.
They spoke for about 15 minutes, curbside. Quite a few people saw it. Again, they said she seemed fine. She headed to her superintendent's barbecue. That she arrived there around 8:00. His name's Troy Davis. Troy and Tara have been friends for a long time. He has almost kind of acted as a second dad to her at times. So according to Troy, she was okay in the beginning of the barbecue, and then more around like 10:00ish, she was getting a lot of phone calls. And again, like Danielle had said, she seemed very, very distracted. They fast forward to 11 p.m. She has a few drinks with him and his kids. She ate pork, and according to Troy, that was something completely out of the ordinary for Tara. She wasn't a big pork eater. And she had told, when Troy questioned her about it, she had said, you only get to live life once, something like that. So
that's interesting. Okay.
So basically, right after that, he said he walked her down from his deck. He watched her get in her car, and she drove off. Troy is supposedly the last known person to see Tara alive. There was a system that Tara had with her neighbor Joe, that basically, especially on the weekends, that once Tara was home, she would click her porch light on, indication that Tara was home and she was safe. Joe was able to see her car there that night, but the porch light was not on. In between all of this, Tara's mother, Faye, had been trying to get a hold of her throughout the night. Was having a hard time getting a hold of her. She sends a family friend named Heath. Heath, in my opinion, plays a big part in this. Heath is a Perry police officer. He pretty much is connected to everyone in this case. I question the nature of their relationship, but right now he's a family friend. He drives an hour and a half from his home to check on Tara. In between the drive, he's calling her. I'm assuming those are the phone calls that Troy was talking about. He said he had spoken to Tara at 10:20. They were able to get Tara's cell phone. Problem is, the cell phone was destroyed, so they were not able to get too much from the cell phone or nail down when these, a bunch of different people said that they spoke to Tara on that night, the next day, But
didn't Heath introduce her to the police officer guy?
Troy, I believe, introduced.
Like the principal of the school introduced. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So that was weird to me, that part.
Yeah, that was his buddy, and they had known each other. But the craziest part is, it's like he had a relationship, though, with her family. He knew Faye. He knew, they go back. And the way he's referenced in this, he's referenced as a family friend. He's not, it's never really mentioned too much about Troy and Troy being involved too much in this, outside of just being, the superintendent, principal, whatnot.
Look how beautiful she is.
She's gorgeous.
Oh, yeah, she's absolutely gorgeous. And I don't, as far as I can tell from, just all the people who testified, everybody loved her.
She was very sweet. They said she was very trusting, at times too trusting. She's known for leaving her door unlocked, that you could kind of go visit Tara whenever you like. They said she had major abandonment issues. That's why men played such a heavy role in her life. But apparently her real love was Marcus. Now that's the other thing. That night, Troy said that he had heard her on one of those phone calls tell someone that she loves them too. The only phone call that has been kind of concreted for the night has been Heath's phone call. So we're assuming that was to him. But again, Tara, she had a lot of loves in her life.
And that's from Saturday night. Right?
Saturday.
Okay.
So Heath drives out. He says that he knocks on the door. He doesn't see anything wrong. He leaves his business card wedged into her door, and he leaves. Fast forward to Monday, they report her missing on the 24th.
So she doesn't show up for work.
Right.
She doesn't show up at school. And that's totally crazy.
Not like her at all.
Not like her at all. She would never just not show up.
Mm-hmm. And her car was still there. Her car was still home. No porch light indication, nothing but just her car. And I believe the car doors were unlocked as well.
Is this Marcus? Or who's that?
I don't actually know who that is.
I don't know. That doesn't look like the kid from the first picture, which was Marcus, right?
Yeah, the other picture was, yeah. Her dog, does anybody remember her dog's name? She has this German Shepherd puppy. Oh, gosh. So cute.
The neighbor, Joe, I believe, has the dog now. Still has the dog.
Oh, really?
This many years later?
Yeah.
She's
it's actually,
wow.
It's on the website. When you go up to the Up and Vanish website, I guess so many people asked about her dog that they have a whole thing on the dog.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah. Well, that's how it goes. We always ask about the dog. We need to know about the dog.
Love that dog.
Oh, there's the dog. Dolly. Yeah.
Exactly. Purse, keys, all left behind. We get to the glove.
So the purse was missing. No, what was missing?
Her
Because
cell phone. Her cell
the
phone
cell
was missing
phone was
originally,
there.
but then they found it.
It was still plugged in. It was still plugged into the wall or to the charger, but nobody remembered if it was plugged into the wall still because it had been like knocked over. But I'm almost positive her purse was gone. Yeah, her purse and her keys were there. You go. Thank you. Her purse and her keys were missing because that becomes like an integral part in Ryan's story later about why he's there.
Well, so they do find this glove. Basically, about 5 to 6 months into the investigation, Tara's older sister, Anita, was getting frustrated. So she hired a private investigator from North Carolina named Maurice. I love Maurice. When Maurice was on the scene, apparently Maurice found the glove originally.
Okay, so let's go back to Monday real quick. So on Monday, I believe that Heath actually went there on Sunday because he couldn't get a hold of her.
Right.
And he leaves his business card there. The officer, the one that she was dating. So he leaves his business card there at the door, which was kind of interesting. Like, why is he leaving his business card at her house? Like, I mean, just say like I came by. I don't know. That was kind of interesting to me. But the local police like basically immediately call in backup because they don't know what happened. They don't understand that they're not familiar with a big case like this or a missing persons case. So they call in the GBI pretty quick. So that the I don't know if he's a sheriff or a chief of police. I don't remember what his title is, but he's actually the one that's on the scene first, and he finds that business card. They call in the big guns, and then they come out and they do this preliminary search. Well, the German Shepherd is actually in the backyard when the cop goes, and when Heath goes, he also says that the dog is in the backyard, which was unusual because she didn't normally keep the dog in the backyard unless she was gone, but her car was there. So it was a very unusual situation, the way that the dog was and the way that the business card was and so on. Okay, so we can go back to the glove.
Wait, was the dog in the house or in the backyard? Because I thought she just didn't leave the dog unattended like for a long time.
Right. So the dog was in the backyard when Heath went there.
Oh.
She's the one who says that was unusual because she wouldn't put the dog outside unless she was leaving.
It was very unlike her to do that, to ever leave.
Hi, Maria. I don't know if I said hi yet, but hi. Okay, so we can go back to this glove because this glove plays a huge role in like everything that happens.
The glove is everything for them.
I like looking at the doggo.
I know. The dog. Beautiful dog. I would be very surprised that dog is still around. Hi, ETS.
Maybe I was off in my years because you know what, he did the podcast in 2017, right?
Yes.
So yeah, I'm off years.
No, 2017, 2016.
Molly
2016, I believe, was season 1. Don't quote me on that. But because 2019 is, I think, because 2017 is when the tips start coming in.
Yep.
And then 2019, I believe, is when Bo gets tried. So, okay, we don't want to fast forward too much, but that's kind of where we're at. So go back to the glove.
Okay.
Not necessarily the picture. I just meant like the story of it. Sorry.
They did do a full analysis, a full DNA analysis on this glove. Came back full white male. No, but still no full identified match at, I believe we were at 2009 when they started, when Maurice went in and he got all of his reports back. Because the GBI, according to Anita, the GBI had held back a lot of information and evidence. So you're kind of dealing with the GBI's version of what happened, and then you have Anita, Maurice, and Payne's version of what happened.
Okay, so then when they enter the house isn't in too bad of shape, but they do suspect that there could be something that happened in there because the lamp is like knocked over, the phone is knocked onto the ground.
Nancy Grace was in the home, and Nancy Grace had said that Tara was very, very meticulous, and Tara's home was a very big reflection of Tara. Everything was very pretty dainty. Everything had a home and a place. She said nothing was really out of tack or out of order. She said, but it was the feel of the home. She said you could feel that something was not okay. She said that Tara, in her opinion, Tara up and left, but it was with someone that she trusted. But whatever happened, she left without everything, if that makes sense. She doesn't think that she left in a hurry. She just thinks that she kind of took a ride with somebody with the expectation of coming back.
Those dogs.
The mine.
We got them everywhere.
Always.
Our animal problems.
Puppy problems.
Yeah, if you don't love animals, you're probably at the wrong channel because you're going to hear them all the time. Okay, so one of the girls that was there, getting ready for the pageant, she actually goes back to Tara's house afterward, but before the pageant, after getting her hair and makeup done, but before the pageant, because she didn't like the earrings she had, and she was going to go back and get the earrings that she typically wore for pageants. So she actually goes in. So she's the last one to see the house in the condition that it was in. So she's the one who ends up testifying, talking about that there was a couple things that were left on the floor just because of leaving. So she saw I think it was a couple pieces of jewelry that were left on the floor that they had been going through and picking out. But then there was other things that were completely out of place that when she sees versus when she was there versus the quote unquote crime scene photos, they don't actually match. We all have animals just arguing in the background. So I'm like, which one's gonna unmute and talk?
Chardonnay or
baby
whatever.
profile pic into
Michelle's
the hospital.
Cat fly from
Allie Cattails, is your fluffy fur baby okay? And it's a total sidetrack comment, but I have to know, otherwise I won't be able to go on.
It's behind her.
Cats and dogs and true crime. It's kind of how it goes. I don't know what to tell you.
They're everywhere.
Allie Cattails, that looks like either a ragdoll or a Siamese. I can't tell which one, but that's what it looks like in your picture.
I have a what's it called? What is mine? It's a Persian.
A Persian.
It looks, yeah, but it's a certain.
You literally have the new edition of Grumpy Cat.
Yeah.
She really should be a Grumpy Cat.
I have every alley cat known to man.
And that's not even the cat that's doing this right now. That's not that cat.
I don't even know what that is.
This is the ugly black one.
Hepatic lipidosis.
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is, Allie Cattails. I don't even know what that is. Scary. So suddenly sick and lethargic. Oh no.
Oh no.
Hopefully it's just hopefully she just got a bug or something. I don't know what lipidosis is.
Probably what I had last week.
Like what you had. You got her cat sick? Good job.
Good job. Thank you.
It's always scary. I lost my cat at the beginning of this year.
Oh.
I had her for a long time. It was very, very hard on me. I love that cat.
Oh.
Kidney, liver problems. See, that's tough. That's why I lost my kitty too, was kidney failure. And the problem with that, and this is total sidetrack from any true crime, but total side conversation is that the things when it comes to animals and their kidneys or pancreas and things like that, you don't ever know that there's something wrong necessarily until they become sick.
Yeah. We caught Rosé's. Rosé has a liver stent. I'm not sure if that's what's going on with Allie's cat, but that's very common. It's common, but it's a very expensive, hard thing.
Remember
for over a year.
Teresa, remember when my cat a few months ago just all of a sudden stopped cleaning himself, and I was like, oh my god, I was distraught.
Yeah.
And I was messaging Teresa this isn't even really my cat. It just doesn't go away. It just adopted me.
Yes,
But-
it's not my cat, but it's my cat.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's your cat. Like, let's be real.
Yeah,
You
and
can
I'm
sit there and
about to
deny the
move,
cat
and
all
I'm
you
like,
want to.
dang it, do I take it?
Well, Allie, cattails. I will say a little prayer for your little fur baby because
Yeah,
she
totally.
looks very
That
beautiful.
freaked me out.
We're with your kitty. Sure.
Your
Are we
kitty's
even
in our
talking
thoughts.
about Bo Dukes at all, or are we just skipping to Ryan?
No, we can talk about Bo Dukes too. So I wanted to make sure we finished up with anything that needed to be done then, because obviously we have quite a long time that goes by, sort of.
Well, can we touch on the house fire on November 8th? Are we there yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't have anything about that, so I'll just.
There's a house fire on November 8th. It's the house of another police officer, basically, who's a friend of that little crew with Marcus and Sean. Sean Fletcher plays a big part of that night as well, because he was the Ocilla police officer on duty that Marcus was trying to get a hold of at 2 a.m. Saturday when Tara originally went missing. So I'm sorry to go back there, but so skip to the house fire. Fire chief pulls up. He was second on the scene, I believe, and he was told that the fire had started from a lit gas line originally. They were trying to determine if that was even the case, because the only thing that was left when he pulled up, he said, was a brick fireplace and a truck, an SUV. When Maurice pulled up, when Maurice went back into his findings and did his part of the investigation, Maurice had found a necklace. He had found broken pieces of a pearl necklace, and he had found the clasp to this necklace. GBI never really touched on it, but to Maurice, this necklace said a lot, because in his opinion, there was force behind her necklace basically being pulled off. And he was able to tell that through looking at the clasp. He bagged it and put it into evidence himself, and he said that spoke volumes to him. They also had found a trace of a body by the fireplace. There were multiple sets of cadaver dogs, and there was one that was interviewed, and his dog actually hit on the fireplace itself for blood. GBI later on just ruled out that the dogs were hitting on the house septic tank. But I think there was a lot in that house fire that night. I believe a lot happened on November 8th.
That's interesting. So before we skip too far ahead, then we'll kind of do a side story about what's happening with young friends Bo Dukes and his buddy Ryan Duke. Not to be confused, because they are not related, but they are much younger than Tara. I wouldn't say much, because she's not that old, but much younger. They actually went to the school that she taught in. She did not teach them. She was not their teacher, but they knew her from the school and being a teacher there. They were friends and kind of got in a lot of trouble, and yeah, okay, see, there you go. There's Bo Dukes in high school. They became friends like their senior year of high school, and then did, petty kid stuff, around that was, not too bad, but also, not like good teenagers. So both of them ended up actually joining the military.
Here's where it gets real crazy.
It does. It gets a little crazy. Hi, Lana. So a resident of Bo Dukes graduated from. Let me see what you put in here. So he enlisted in the army. So yeah. So he actually. Okay. So you want to talk about Bo Dukes first? So Bo Dukes actually serves his time in the military, but he ends up actually being. It was him and somebody else. Do you have who else it was in here? Because I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was him and somebody else ended up actually getting in trouble for embezzling money from the military.
I didn't know that he was with. I thought that there was a friend from the military.
Yes.
but that wasn't involved in the embezzlement.
Mark
There's
is-
another friend. There's another friend from the military that comes up a little bit later, but I'm almost positive there's two people that were involved in this whole thing, and he does end up having to pay back the government because he embezzled this money from the military.
$150,000
Right.
from a bunch
And
of
I don't know
guns.
all the details behind that. I never really looked into like how he was even able to do that. But he ends up convicted, and he serves 27 months in federal prison as is in the slide. And then repaid the government. But another friend of his that he had met in the military had come home with him for some leave. I don't know what the leave was for. I don't remember. But when they were back in Ocilla, Bo Dukes ends up actually becoming intoxicated and actually tells him that his friend Ryan Duke actually had killed this teacher and that he helped dispose of the remains. Tells them this whole story. So the guy calls the tip line and they basically say, like, we'll get back to you. And nobody calls him back. And this is like in 2000 and I'm going to probably say the wrong year, but I believe it was like 2008. Do you have that? Because it was not 2000s. It was not that long after the actual crime. It was pretty quick afterward. So nobody calls this dude back to like find out what he knows or what he has to say. So it kind of the case just keeps going because they're assuming that maybe she just left on her own or whatever else. So that's a whole. This guy is a piece of work. This is when I say like there's these multiple camps, because there's the camp that believes that Bo Dukes is the one who committed this crime. Because he has a history of really crazy, not normal stuff. And we'll go there. So anyway, so Bo Dukes is in the military, and Ryan Duke is also in the military. He also joins the Army. But during training, he actually witnesses the death of one of his, like, not partners, but other members of the Army, and he becomes very traumatized by this and can't function. So they're like calling him, giving him therapy or whatnot, but he ends up going AWOL and leaves the military, or goes AWOL. Then he goes back home and he's doing all kinds of petty things, and his dad thinks that his friendship with Bo Dukes is the reason that he has all these problems, because Bo Dukes was this bad influence on him, and he doesn't really want him being friends with Bo Dukes. But they still are. They just kind of hide it from the dad. Did they rent? I think they actually had rented the apartment. There was two of those two, and I think a third person were in an apartment before they had both joined the military, and that's when nothing was really there. Nobody really had a job. Everybody was getting fired, and it was kind of just all, dumb kid stuff. They really shouldn't have had an apartment on their own. But Lana, yes, this is an older case. Yes, she went missing in 2005. We'll get to when they find her, but where was I at?
I don't know. Not the slide I was just on. Don't act like that's my fault. Everybody's going to be like, Christine didn't have these slides ready.
Okay,
Christine doesn't have this presentation ready. I just want to say I could not account for her all over the placeness. Okay, so I have.
We'll fast forward a little bit. So they end up in 2000. So that's like 2002, 2003. So 2005. Now when Tara goes missing, they are now living together again for the second time in a trailer that I believe Ryan's dad owns, and they're living with Ryan Duke's brother, Ryan Duke, because I don't want to say Dukes, but Ryan Duke and his brother and Bo Dukes are all living in this trailer. So this is when things kind of start to go a little haywire, and depending on what version of events you want to believe, Bo Dukes says that he was at the trailer on October 23rd, passed out, and Ryan came home after borrowing his truck and said that he needed help because he had just murdered Tara Grinstead. And he needed his help and woke him up and dragged him out. Now, if you go to Ryan's story, it's almost the exact story, but the opposite. He's the one at home, passed out, and Bo is the one who comes in and wakes him up. So ultimately, Bo Dukes ends up telling this story to a ton of their friends. He's going to parties every time. Basically, every time this guy gets drunk or high, he's telling all of his friends that Ryan killed Tara and that they got rid of her body. And that they got rid of her body by taking her to Bo Duke's uncle's pecan orchard. And this is going to be really grotesque. So if you can't stomach it, I totally get it. But so he said, Bo Duke says they burned her remains for 2 days to make sure they were completely gone.
Now, TC, when I mentioned that house fire on November 8th,
yes,
I think there was some. I do think she was burned on multiple days, but I think she settled on the pecan orchard versus that house because of who that house belonged to.
Okay, so that's very interesting. That's very that I can see where you're going with that.
I think they all kind of did this together, like one did, but because the guy that he served time with, I believe that is Marcus and Sean Fletcher.
Okay.
There's a lot of pictures of them being a group back in the day, like hanging out together.
No, stop it. I'm trying to refresh that page.
Oh, I wanted to see. I was in the middle of reading a sentence on there.
Oh, sorry.
So now you have Bo who says that Ryan did it and came to him for help, and then he let him borrow his truck, and then he had already taken the body out to the orchard. So Bo says that Ryan took her body to his uncle's orchard, and then Bo went out there, and that's when this happened. I find that very interesting because I don't know why Ryan would take her, and this is one of the big things on why people think that Bo actually had more to do with it. So Bo then, no, let me go. Ryan actually tries to say that at this time, when Bo came home, he actually had her purse, and that he saw the ID in it and realized who it was, and he thought that Bo was making stuff up because Bo was known to make up these really ridiculous stories, and so he was trying to say that it was all made up, and he really didn't believe that Bo had actually done anything. So he takes the truck and he's going to go to Tara's house to return this purse that Bo stole because he just thinks that he stole it for like drug money. And he doesn't believe that anything actually happened to her, which comes into play later when we go back to talking about this glove and why that glove is important. So he supposedly stops at a payphone and calls Tara. Him and Tara didn't really know each other. So
of all the guys, Bo was not one of them.
Right. Well, so Ryan's saying he's taking the purse back, and Ryan's trying to call her, and he's going to go return. He's going to her house to return this purse that Bo supposedly stole, but then she's not there and she doesn't answer the phone. So it is what it is. It's very convoluted. You're talking many years. So I know we won't be able to cover every little aspect of it because there's a lot of details and a lot of little intricate pieces that kind of unfolded at that time. But so the only story that semi-matches is that when they're at the pecan orchard and what happens there. Besides Ryan saying that while Tara was laying on the ground, deceased, Bo was like touching her and fondling her and trying to get Ryan to touch and fondle her. And Ryan wasn't having anything to do with it. And they ultimately ended up burning her body. It's a little opposite because one says that like this one went and got all this wood by himself. The other one says, no, we both went and picked up all the wood together. So like the planning part becomes like a very big deal too in trial. I do not believe they they did. I don't think they cut, as far as I know. Somebody else knows, you can tell me. Okay, so remember, before we get to the Up and Vanish podcast, is there anything else that I want to make sure that, or that you guys want to make sure that we cover before we get to 2016? No, that one's after.
Did we touch on the black truck?
No, there you go.
Well, there's a black. They keep describing it as a black old F-150, F-250, whatever they are. I didn't know they were that old, but there was a black truck that was seen. It was seen on the night of Tara's disappearance, and then it was seen again on the night of that house fire on November 8th. Multiple people, multiple locals. One woman was backing out of her driveway, almost ran over. This truck almost ran into her. There were 2 kids that had seen the truck and someone driving in it, but they were threatened, and the kids kind of clammed up and never told GBI anything, but later on came out and spoke to Payne. This black truck, it plays a big part in this case. So,
And the other big thing too is that there's issues about the car. So I believe it's the neighbor states that the car was not there on Sunday, or Heath states that the car was not there on Sunday when he goes to visit. I don't remember which one. Maybe you do, Michelle. But that the car was not there on Sunday. But when the police went on Monday to go check on her and do the welfare check, the car was in the driveway. The car, the front seat of the car was pushed really far back, as in somebody much taller than Tara was actually driving the vehicle.
and that's where I do feel like Ryan's role played a part, because if you see Bo might be a little bit more muscular than Ryan, but he's a lot shorter. Ryan is much taller than
Bo. Mm-hmm.
I think Bo was doing what Bo was doing, and then Ryan helped, and then other friends, officers between Oscilla and Perry, and even possibly Fitzgerald, came along and tightened it all up. And that's why that case went the way it did, personally. Mm-hmm. I don't think this is all Bo or Ryan at all.
That's very interesting.
Yeah.
So, okay, so then we have the Up and Vanish podcast that picks it up in 2016 and starts doing this series on it. And Bo Duke's girlfriend at the time actually calls into police and says, "Hey, I know that my live-in boyfriend basically helped conceal this, and I know who did it." So the cops bring in Ryan first, because that's who she's saying is actually the one who did it. And Ryan was actually on the list he was actually on their original list back in 2005. And there she goes. There she is. She is testifying in Bo Duke's trial. So she says that Bo was having these panic attacks, and he was, super upset, and she was, because there was more attention was coming to this, and he thought that something was going to happen. Like, he thought he was going to get in trouble. And so he ends up admitting to her everything that happened. So the cops go and they bring Ryan in, and Ryan confesses. Ryan not only confesses, but Ryan confesses very quickly. So he tells them that this is what happened, that he broke into Tara's home, and because he was looking for money for drugs, and that he ended up strangling her and freaked out because this is one weird thing. He says that she walked up behind him when he was trying to go through her things and take stuff, that she walked up behind him, which doesn't make a lot of sense, because the what would be considered a crime scene is definitely that bedroom area where everything is knocked around, and the bed is somewhat broken. So,
but no forced entry.
What was that? I'm sorry?
But no forced entry.
Right. So that's the big issue with the window is, was it locked? Was it not locked? She always locked it. She didn't lock it. But so he says that, I freaked out. I didn't know what to do. And so I, take her. I don't even know if he says he ends up taking her car, but he ends up saying that he talks to Bo Dukes and asks him for help, and because he needs his truck to move the body, and that Bo Dukes helps him destroy the body. So then they bring in Bo Dukes, and Bo Dukes basically says the same story. And this is all recorded. So if you guys like want to dive in further and you want to watch like all the confessions, they're out there. So he basically tells the same story, that Ryan came home, Ryan got me, said that he had killed Tara, and he needed help, and blah blah blah. And so their stories semi-match at this point. They're both arrested, and Bo's let out on bail.
Well, Bo thought for telling his story that he wasn't going to be prosecuted, but he left out, like, he wasn't entirely truthful, and so he did end up getting arrested and like charged. But he got caught up, because even right here in one of these text messages, it's saying that like, and Brooke, his girlfriend, might get the reward. Like,
well, he brought them to where her body was, right?
He's so shady that I can imagine him like finagling that for the reward, like
getting his girlfriend to call and say, hey, I know this because I want the reward. Well, so many people knew about it. It was like he had already told so many people the same story.
Were trolling like message boards, Bo was trolling message boards for the podcast and on like some other forum, like in there trolling, commenting about the murder. They're dumb. I don't know what's going on, but they know.
Well, I think that they had thought for so long that they were fine. Nobody found them. Nobody got them. So like it was, and he told all these people, and nobody did anything about it. And so he's like, yeah, it is what it is. Every party he goes to, he just has a couple beers, and he's just like, hey, this is what happened.
He's like, hey, I did it. I also solved it. Where's my reward?
Let's go.
I solved it.
That's an interesting way to entrepreneur.
I did want, I think that was a big question back then, was wondering if she did turn him in for the reward money. But it was quite odd because she actually remained with him. So he confesses this to her, and she doesn't tell anybody. I think it took her like 10 days before she actually like contacted the police. So she contacts an attorney first because she thinks that she's going to get in trouble for not telling anybody. So she gets an attorney, and then she contacts them. Yeah. So, okay, so Bo gets out on bail, and this guy, dude, he's creepy. He's really, really creepy.
You know what? This girl's way too pretty to be ending up with that kind of BS. Like, you are fine. Go get a different boyfriend. I'm sure you got a nice, decent little job somewhere. Why? And she's still with him.
Well, I mean, and I get like 10 days, you're like, holy crap, was that real? Like, did that just happen? You're kind of like, what do I do with my life? Like, where am I going to go? But
like, what, she met this guy on POF or something like that. Girl, you can do better.
So obviously it's like 2017. 2017 is when this guy 2017 is when this guy confesses. His trial isn't until 2019. And when I tell you guys the stuff that happened in between here and what he gets charged with, you're gonna freak out. But 2019, she's testifying, and she's still with him in 2019. I can't even. I don't even understand it. Like, this is women need some help with these weird dudes that they think are all that when they're really just little.
I know. She probably has like self-esteem issues. You are beautiful. You are great. Like, move on.
I think that they need like their parents to like continuously give them that positive reinforcement because they're looking for it, and so somebody lacked in that when they're younger years. But
I mean, she moved into his mother's house, like his trailer, with him, and when he told her, and then continue being together with, like,
I knew that he was going to serve the rest of his life in jail, but it didn't really matter. It was more important that the family knew, but I was going to stay with him anyway. Okay, so he's released, And
Rest in peace, British
now
women confident.
I think you have that slide too. The neighbors end up having these women show up on their doorstep wearing towels, saying that he had them tied up in his home, I think for a couple of days. I don't remember the exact amount of time, but for a couple where he was assaulting them, like essaying them.
Yeah, that's them running up to the neighbors. It was two women, one towel. Two women, one towel.
One towel, yeah, because he had them tied up while he was assaulting them in his home.
A 4-day manhunt. Imagine being in that neighborhood, because it looks like a nice neighborhood. It looks like a really nice neighborhood. And then all of a sudden...
It was Ryan's DNA on the glove.
It was Ryan's DNA. Yep. I think there was still an unknown, which they really tried to place on Bo, but they couldn't get the match. So he ends up arrested after this 4-day manhunt on other charges of aggravated assault and kidnapping. And so he's arrested again in 2017. This guy.
Sorry, I have a better. Yeah. How many years? How long is he in prison for?
So he goes to trial for the Tara Grinstead case. He goes in 2019. He ends up convicted,
but not of murder, right?
No, of he gets tampering. He gets some charges having to do with tampering and concealing, and he gets 25 years. I don't remember his exact charges off the top of my head, but
that's a damn shame.
Yeah, so he gets 25 years, and I don't know if has he gone to trial for the other two from 2017? I don't even know if he's actually been sentenced for that.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
So then you have Ryan Duke, who has, once again, like I said, he's confessed. Hi, Sarah. He's confessed, told the whole story about everything that he did and how he involved Bo, which basically matches Bo's story, mind you. And I'm just going to keep putting it out there because it matches Bo's story and it matches the story. Oh, before we go on to Ryan, let me go back, because if you remember, the army friend who had actually called in the tip and got ignored, he calls in again. Now that the media is starting to cover it again, and there's the Up and Vanish podcast, he calls in again. And I don't know if he'd called in even like one time before that as well, like in between. But to say, hey, like I tried to get a hold of you guys and tell you guys this, that I know XYZ, that this person confessed to me. And they finally take him seriously. Even though he could have helped.
Stories like that is why like Delphi is inundated with like tips and stuff, because people are so worried that this non-response means that they didn't hear what they had to say,
Well, that's how I would feel if I was calling in a major tip on a case like this. And nobody called me back. That's how I would feel. Like, you're not taking me seriously. And they obviously didn't, because they don't actually follow up on anything that he says until years later.
And mind you, this is a small town. Everybody knows everybody. Like many of them say, you're exploited here. I mean, everyone knows what you're doing. I think a total of 2,600 people in this town.
Yeah, didn't Payne Lindsay like call his grandma to crack a case, and she called her friend, and then he's done?
I think that's how
her friend was the director. It was the pageant director, and Payne's grandma was help.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So he called his grandma, and then she called her friend and put them in touch, and then he solved the case.
This was good. Like this
grandma to the rescue.
And you want to know what's odd? The story that Ryan and Bo run with, in a sense, it's almost the same exact story. That's why I keep going back to this. It's almost the same exact story that Marcus and Sean have for that night, timeline wise. I know all the evidence and the DNA went to Ryan, but all these guys they all coincide with each other, and because they are somehow connected, or either police police officers themselves. They served in Afghanistan together. They did all this is part of it. And Ryan and Bo, I feel like, are just pieces. Like,
well, you may not be wrong, because as we know, at this point now, where Ryan goes to trial in 2022, finally, even though he was arrested back in 2017 as well, he ended up getting a law firm that actually was listening to the Up and Vanish podcast and believed that he was innocent. A lot of people who listened to the Up and Vanish podcast leaned towards that Bo Dukes was the actual perpetrator and Ryan was the scapegoat. And that's the way they lean. So they actually ended up taking his case from the public defender and doing his case pro bono. So in that, the state didn't have to pay for all the experts, and even because with public defenders, the state has to pay for everybody that's, all the testing and everything that goes along with the public defender and the case. But if you take the case pro bono, the state doesn't necessarily have to pay for that. So he was actually supposed to be going to trial in 2019 as well, but because they took on this case pro bono, the state said they weren't going to pay for it. So then they started fighting in the Supreme Court about how, he would not be receiving due process if they did not allow for him to have the same experts and the people evaluating him and so on and so forth. So that's why it was actually postponed for so long. So he's been in prison for 5 years. So they obviously won that, and then the trial happens, and the trial itself is interesting. Both trials were very interesting, but I did find Ryan's a little bit more interesting, simply because Bo Dukes does take the stand in Ryan's trial and pleads the fifth the entire time, like to everything, like, what's your name? I plead the fifth. Like, he pleads the fifth the entire time. Ryan takes the stand in his own defense and changes everything that he said the entire time. Changes it to that he was the one that was at home passed out, that Bo came home with the purse, and that he went to the payphone, and that all he did was, help conceal her body. I need to back up just a second, because in 2017, when Ryan was questioned and he admits to everything, he actually does take the police to the pecan orchard, where they do an immense search and end up finding some fragments that later tested positive to be Tara's. Very, very minute pieces were left, but he took them straight to that area. Ryan did, not Bo. Ryan.
I think Bo offered at one point when he did his confession, he offered, but I think that might have already happened with Ryan at that point. Like, he was trying to use that as part of his, he was minimizing his part in all of it.
Ryan was, or Bo was?
Bo was. He said there was a lot of drugs. Like Ryan said, there was a lot of drugs involved then. They drank a lot, crazy things had happened. He said, but I don't ever, he said, it's not in me. It's not who I am. And I kind of believe it.
You believe Ryan? See, this is where it gets really interesting, because, like I said, there's a lot of controversy around what actually happened. So Ryan testifies, and he says that this is, how bad it's been for his life, because, he's been hiding this forever, but that it was a false confession, and they basically fed him all the information, even though he openly tells what happened within, like I said, the first few minutes of being in there. But so he's charged like 6 different counts from her murder all the way to the concealing. And let me see what she says here.
Sorry, I had to fix the background here.
Oh, you're fine. I didn't know what this slide was. So many people did not believe that Ryan was the actual perpetrator. So they kind of leaned towards that there was not going to be enough evidence, because, Bo was the one that they believed did it, and Bo's already just been, charged with the tampering and concealing and whatnot. Ryan ends up getting found not guilty on the first 5 counts, all to do with the murder, and only guilty on concealing her body. He gets sentenced to 10 years, which I believe is he's up for parole after 5 or 6. I don't remember what they said now, but it was like, so he's up for parole like very soon because he's technically already served 5 years. So he could be out.
Sorry, guys. I haven't looked at this since I made it a few weeks ago. And it's rough on some edges and stuff. Sorry,
Yep.
I apologize.
No, you're
about
fine.
That, but I'm
You're
just
fine.
trying to.
It's our fault. Like we had to keep postponing the trial. So that's why I said if we postpone this anymore, I'm not even going to remember what happened at the trial. So I think
Teresa knows
really
the trial. I know the beginning. We all know parts.
That's why I'm like, because that's what we remember now. Because I've been so sucked into Johnny Depp, but ultimately nobody has been charged with her murder. So the big question was, are they going to go back and charge Bo Dukes now that they didn't get the guilty verdict for Ryan? But I don't think that would happen simply because of the fact that they went so hard after Ryan that Bo would be able to use Ryan's trial as reasonable doubt. So it would not really be worth it. But I actually believe that Ryan did it. I do believe that Ryan broke in. I do believe that Ryan broke in, wanted money for drugs, and she woke up and he ended up killing her, and that's how it went. I believe the original story. I believe his original confession matches the story that Bo told to all these people for all this time, and it was over many years. And every time, like I said, because he was admitting it within days. He had gone back to the trailer and admitted to Ryan's brother, "Hey, your brother killed Tara."
There was a lot of fear put into this case because of who they were, the group that they were.
Right.
Loyalty and friends.
So Bo Duke's family, his dad, I believe, was like the senator, and he had some very influential. There was very influential people, that were in his family. But his family testifies that they had basically disowned him because of his behavior and his illegal activity and his drugs and whatnot.
I think Ryan's taken.
So Ryan confessed, and then he got acquitted anyway. I really want to hear Scott Reich's opinion on this. I don't know if we did a video about it or not, but he's always like, I mean, and I agree with him like on most things, but he's always like, the justice system works, and you just gotta trust it. Like,
he's a defense attorney.
I know, but like, I think that the way that like juries and I also think it really works, but it obviously did not work here. There's a confession that I think is really actually legitimate that was not even counted at all. And was it counted? They said it was a false confession. Was it not admitted? I don't know.
His team went with that it was a false confession. And the prosecution went with that it was not a false confession.
Then people give false confessions, and then it's like, okay, case closed. 3 days later, and I mean, there's just sometimes it goes really wrong. Like most of the time, it's you could trust it, like trust the system, trust the process. But like those few times that it goes really wrong would just like make me hate to ever.
Most times I don't do the false. I don't even. But for some reason, in this situation, with the way this small town operated, this group of guys, who they were connected to, what they were connected to,
how close are they to Murdoch's stuff? Like, how close are they to that area?
I don't know.
But
they're Georgia.
Oh, just kidding. Okay.
That's why I say there's a lot of fear in this. I could see Bo being the one to, because he was the crazy one, maybe have the idea. And Ryan came along, and whatever happened in between that. And then they get Marcus, Sean. Somehow Heath is involved. It's just so odd who they're all connected to. And then these stories that match up. And then you have all these witnesses that say different. It's like they went off of the DNA of the glove, which of course, yes, but there was a lot of other evidence that pointed elsewhere in my opinion.
But you're going totally outside of even just the two of them. Like I would even succumb to that they both did it together because they were both doing shady stuff together. You think that they're tied in with Marcus and gang over there, and that they originally took her body to this home and then the home was set on fire?
Possibly. The home was definitely set on fire for sure. And the dog did hit there. They interviewed the guy and everything, and he says my dog hit there. It was like it was never touched on.
And so you think that they took whatever was left that wouldn't actually, disintegrate. They took that and dumped it in the orchard field?
Possibly. Yeah. I think they were all messing around with this girl. I think she played a part, and then, mind you, there was something going on with Marcus in those emails. She was emailing Marcus's mother, mentioning, if something happens to me, it's going to be everybody's fault. Marcus was dating this senior. She just graduated. She was like 18 years old. So there's a lot of different.
Which is the same age as Ryan and Bo at the time. Right. Very close in age, I should say.
All crazily.
She seemed like she was having like a mental, she was having a period of time, like from her stepmom, like saying that like she was just, her emails that she sent to her stepmom were kind of like along those lines, just like,
she had a lot going on.
What's the word when you're like,
I also think she was 30 when she disappeared. I believe she was 30 or 31. And I hate to say it like that, but like women's biological clocks are starting to tick. They're looking for a little bit more of a commitment. You're looking for that, settle down, have a family. So yeah, she might be dating around a little bit, but she's like waiting for one of these guys to be ready to take the next step.
Well, it was just I think it was only a few weeks prior, or maybe March, I could be wrong, of that year, but a kid named Anthony Victors, he was a student of hers. He was arrested. He was arrested on her property. He was banging on her door, trying to get into her house.
Oh, that's right. She had a restraining order or something, huh?
Exactly. And nothing really came out of that. He was interviewed one time, but because of that, his mother spoke up and said that Tara was caught coming out of his her son's bedroom window many times. Marcus had found out about this along the way too. So a lot of people, like when it comes to motive and things like that, they feel like there was one of them could have gotten her pregnant. One of them feel like that she had this secret with Marcus, about the young girl, and a lot happened that Saturday.
So I guess my only question would be then, if Bo knows that all these people are involved and he continues to keep confessing every time he's intoxicated to anybody who will listen, why aren't any of these other people mentioned?
It's that I don't want to use the word loyalty at this point. I just think that it's like
there's like his seniority. Like if they were all in the army together, they'd be older than him, right? Exactly. Him and Bo.
And I think that's another reason why Bo's taking the fifth. He's gonna set that tone that I'm not saying shit. Like I am not.
And that cop went out there, like he could have just flung that glove on his way back to his car.
And that's the guy.
I mean, I hate to be like conspiracy.
The glove wasn't found that day.
Conspiracy hat is on.
And it's true. Like I think Heath plays a big part in this, and I feel like Heath was that guy, and it was looking like to be Marcus, but I don't know. Heath was the one close to the family, and they're telling each other that they love each other. He drives to go find her. The mom calls him to come save the day, and it's a very odd.
He drives like hours and hours to get there, and then knocks once or something and leaves his card.
He's supposed to leave his card. He
was
in the paper, I believe, a few days later, they wrote an article about a jealous cop who had a jealous wife.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all assuming that was Heath. I don't know. I think they all play a part together.
Well, ultimately, at this point, it's going to continue to go as an unsolved or cold case without any type of new evidence, because there's no way anybody can be tried for her murder after they put.
I know. I'm gonna keep checking those message boards.
You are?
One of them's gonna talk.
Somebody something.
Well, he's been found not guilty now. If he comes out and says, "Yeah, I did. I totally did it," it's not gonna matter.
Yeah, but
can't do anything about it. Can't charge him. Can't nothing. I mean, he may get some other street justice, but
And isn't it a little convenient? Well, I don't want to say, but Bo, just like the guy named Benny, who they were, they're known for being the crazy asses in town, and they're known for doing things like that. It's almost kind of perfect when you think about it.
So we'll do 12 years and walk, and does Brooke have the reward money? How much was the reward money?
I don't even know.
I don't know, and I don't know if they ever actually gave it to her.
It wasn't much, right? It wasn't much, I don't think.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it was much.
That's why I said I don't think anything. I don't think we'll see anything else come out of it, and without a new physical evidence, which I just think is gone at this point. You may get a deathbed confession if one of these other people is actually involved, or you get these guys that are gloating on message boards. But Bo ain't coming out. Bo, like I said, let me look that up. I'm gonna Google it right now, actually, because last I remember, I don't think he was ever charged. Or I don't think he was ever convicted of the kidnapping and stuff.
I remember how many people were on like an AOL chat message board, like back when you needed the CD to get on the internet, like with the username "I am murderer."
It's going to be there. We know it. It's going to be there.
I did it. 25-5.
He said, I solved it. I saw it on the thread and I friggin' solved it. Took care. Done.
Yeah, I just want to see. I cannot remember.
What, for Bo?
For Bo Dukes, yeah. Has he been... I know he was indicted, and I know that but I just don't know if there was ever a trial for that yet. Rape, sodomy, and possession of a knife during the commission of a felony. So the other thing is there was the county stuff. So they were talking about that because where she was taken from versus where she was, the pecan field or the pecan orchard, if the charges could be from a different county for other things. I don't see that he has been gone to trial yet for that.
I don't see it either.
So they think that he's pleading. I'm almost positive he was pleading the fifth because he still has to go to trial for the other.
All the other stuff. I don't think he.
I'm just going through some of these text messages.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Please never bring me a dead body. Although now that I have had some practice, oh shit, good one. Stupid. You're going to hell for that joke. You're going to hell.
Yeah, I don't think he has.
Right? No, I don't think so.
Who says this? Like they're proud of themselves.
I talked to GBI a few months ago. I didn't kill her, but was involved. Douchebag.
Thanks.
For real. Like a major douchebag.
Yeah, that's him talking about the Up and Vanish podcast.
Oh. Did you hear Payne?
He's like, oh yeah, like I'm gonna be totally famous because I did this stuff. If Payne Lindsay calls me, I'm glad my grandfather all kinds of crazy shit about Bigfoot and aliens.
Where did it say that?
Over here, to the left.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
See, no, I won't be arrested or prosecuted at all. Why does he say that so confidently? They're all connected. They're all connected.
So they're going to arrest you, and then they're going to let you go after the trial because he thinks he's going to testify against Ryan.
Yeah, he did.
And so he's going to get to walk for testifying, but he doesn't have any immunity agreements or anything done like that. He just goes in there and takes his part in it.
I'm glad my grandfather isn't lying for this. He'd fucking kill me. I killed him first. I hate this guy.
We're going to hear more. We're not done with Bo. I don't think we're going to hear much about Tara's case, but we're going to hear some things about Bo and things It
worked out well for me, at least. He's the one in prison, and Ryan got
acquitted. Got longer. He got longer than
Ryan got acquitted.
Yep.
That's what you get for being a douchebag in a text message.
I wonder if she really ever got the reward money.
I would be interested to find that out.
Old demons are coming to the surface. Things I should have dealt with years ago. Criminal investigation things. Listen, drugs were crazy then, like all the tripping drugs too at that, like, I don't know.
Yep.
And they had some friends come along afterwards and help along the way, and that's why it could never get caught up.
Well, if you guys haven't listened and you're interested in podcasts, I definitely recommend listening to the Up and Vanish podcast. I do tell you that a lot of people who listen to it started to lean towards Bo, but Payne himself has said that he actually believes it was Ryan. So even though the podcast kind of leaned other people towards Bo, it didn't really sway him. He still thought it was Ryan.
I don't know how.
So, and I have not listened to their trial coverage, so I don't know. I can't recommend that, but I'm sure it's great.
Listen,
he sure looked a hell of a lot different in court. He sure cleans up nice.
Well, yeah, because this is when he's all drugged out and drunk and.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if anything does come out, and I'm sure that Christine over there will be following all the message boards to see where these guys end up talking when they are released.
No, well, I'm too busy looking up the bridge guy username. Okay, I'm busy now.
I do want to do some Delphi stuff.
No,
I don't even know where to begin.
That has to be like a dedicated, very long live or part.
That's gonna have to be like a few of them, but that's why I'm like, go back to the beginning and just like start from scratch. I mean, there's some really good channels and obviously podcasts that have done a ton of work on Delphi. So I don't know. That's where I kind of go. I don't even know where I would go, where I'd start with that. But
y'all, this isn't finished or like not perfect and whatever, but we're gonna post this so that y'all can.
Right, so good.
Look.
I think that you did a phenomenal job, Christine, with this.
Thanks. I didn't finish it.
It didn't finish because moi.
Because I asked for help.
Yep, and I did not deliver.
I had 5 Google slides.
You did. You had some 5 googly slides. So,
Anyway,
but I thank you guys. I thank all of you guys. I thank you two for all your work you guys put into this. I am immensely thankful for both of you, and I love you both very dearly. And Michelle, I thank you for coming on your birthday, and I hope that you had the best day ever. You absolutely deserve it, and I love you guys to pieces. I thank you, chat. I know that this will probably get more on the replay because everybody's got to go watch Johnny Depp stuff. If you want to watch Johnny Depp, I know that Jen Liu is live covering it, and then you can go to any LawTube channel. I think they've all been live for like 15 hours covering it all day.
I'm gonna be over at Jen Liu's in a minute.
Yeah, so Jen Liu does have an open panel to go on and discuss the closing arguments. What was that?
Catch your last live with Jen Liu and Missy. That was a really good live.
Oh yeah, it ended up being a really good live, kind of thrown together. But Missy freaking knows so much stuff. It's like crazy. It's like she's like a dictionary, an encyclopedia about Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. So, thank you, Lana. To go ahead into bed. I'm gonna go get some dinner. But I thank you guys very much. And Christine, I don't think you caught last week's live. You'll notice when you do watch it that I did not actually do the little closing sequence that you like to do. So I'm not going to touch anything.
That's because I was ill. I was dying.
I know you were. I know you were.
He was taking a nap.
I was no.
All right. Well, I'm gonna have some dinner and then I'm gonna head over to Jen Liu's live. If she's still going, I'll probably hop up there for a little bit. So, all right. I will chat with you all later.
Oh yeah. Bye y'all. That's my cue. Hold on.
It's you. Yeah.
Hold on. Okay. Bye again. Real natural light.
Okay. Bye.